Welcome to Harry's Hook. I am a journalist, big fan of boxing. I've written published articles on it. I also train and spar. It is a thrilling time in boxing with an upcoming mega fight, a legend attempting to once again make history, and a scintillating rematch for the undisputed heavyweight crown. Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois' first battle ended decisively with an Usyk stoppage, but not before a spark of controversy from a low blow many thought was legal triggered fierce debate over whether Dubois should have had his hand raised. Dynamite has been on a tear since then, racking up the 3 best wins of his career, while Usyk reached the summit of the heavyweight division, defeating Tyson Fury twice and gaining the undisputed crown before vacating the IBF belt, which is now in Dubois' possession. In today's video, I'm going to preview the bout, talk about the boxers, analyze key moments from their first fight, discuss some X factors that could determine the outcome, and then ultimately give my prediction, while somehow tying in the most polarizing episode of Breaking Bad. We start with the unified champion, Oleksandr Usyk. The Ukrainian is 38 years old and boasts an undefeated record of 23-0 with 14 knockouts. He stands at 6'3" and carries a 78-inch reach. The cat is a southpaw with sophisticated footwork, an active lead hand, precise punches, and unflappable determination. Daniel Dynamite Dubois is 27 years old and holds an impressive record of 22-2 with 21 knockouts. He stands 6'5" and also carries a 78-inch reach. Dynamite is a large, bruising power puncher who wields a formidable right hand, as well as an aggressive, fan-friendly, albeit sometimes reckless, style. In Usyk's first battle with Dubois, he immediately made the Brit hesitant by throwing barrages of feints and level changes, keeping him off balance and unsure of when he'd actually fire. But even more importantly, he took away Dubois' jab. In fact, their first fight can be summed up as Usyk virtually neutralizing Dubois' jab while dominating with his own. His lead hand was instrumental here, constantly probing, touching Dubois' left glove, occupying that guard, showing masterful use of parries and deflections that absolutely stifled Dynamite's jab, undermining his offense. According to CompuBox, Dubois' overall average jab connect percentage is 22.9%. Usyk held him to 10.3%. On the flip side, Usyk's overall average jab connect rate is 20.5%. Less than Dubois', likely due to Usyk's greater jab frequency and higher level of competition. Against Dynamite, though, his jab connect rate rose to 25.2%. How did he do that? It's a punch that can often be rendered less effective in southpaw versus orthodox matchups, because with cross stances, the lead hands line up and the jab lane gets clogged. A key way Usyk circumvents this problem is through creating angles to find open punch lanes. Early on in Usyk vs. Dubois 1, we saw him land snapping jabs by stepping outside Dubois' lead foot, leaning to the inside, and firing spear jabs and regular jabs on an upward angle through the middle. We also saw him step around, but land the jab from the more conventional outside angle over the top of Dubois' arm. I'm telling you, those sharp jabs accumulated damage, and soon enough, he started bringing the backhand behind it. That quick and accurate cross will be a primary weapon against Dubois. A simple yet potent way Usyk maximizes it is by doubling up on it, often catching the opponent by surprise. On the defensive side, Usyk did a great job neutralizing Dubois' dangerous right hands upstairs by keeping a responsible guard and holding the phone with his left. But if Usyk again leans to the inside to land that jab, Dubois should look for the counter right uppercut, a weapon Tyson Fury used with success against the cat. It's a punch Dubois tried to land a few times, including to the body, one of which was the controversial low blow. But I think Dubois' most effective punch in their bout was the right cross downstairs. Sometimes Usyk was able to avoid it, but it was a solid weapon that Dynamite used to soften the abdomen, sap energy, and set up his left hook aimed at the chin. In the 8th round, we saw another way this punch could effectively be used. Dubois in this instance threw the right downstairs and avoided Usyk's response. Both men then reset and trade feints. Dubois lands a jab. Usyk moves to reset, but as soon as he's in range, Dubois changes levels, but fires the right hand upstairs, nailing Oleksandr. Mixing targets like that and utilizing feints will be critical tools for Dubois to land flush on a slippery Usyk. Earlier in the round, Dynamite showed us another promising tactic. He threw the right hand at Usyk's chest rather than his elusive head, and then timed Usyk by firing the right hand as the Ukrainian stepped in with a jab, showing the viability of punching with Oleksandr. This punch alone forced Usyk to temper his aggression and recalibrate for the time being. Still, Usyk dropped Dubois in that round and outclassed the Brit. However, there are a number of X factors that favor Dynamite. But first, if you enjoy this content, come on, do me a solid, like this video for the algorithm, and if you want to stay updated on my latest analysis, commentary, live streams, subscribe to the channel. Dynamite power, I won't spend much time on this, but Dubois' knockout to win ratio is 95%, right? 21 of his 22 wins have come inside the distance. And I think it's fair to say that he is one of, if not perhaps, the heaviest punchers Usyk has faced. Oleksandr may have a bit more of a margin for error than most, since along with a stout defense, he wields an iron chin. But power like Dubois', if it lands right, whether on the head or the body, can end the fight. Momentum, or perhaps it's more accurate to say, growth. Daniel Dubois has been on a tear since losing to Usyk, defeating Jarrell Big Baby Miller, Filip Hrgovic, and most recently knocking out Anthony Joshua. Dubois got hit with some big shots in these battles and displayed real conditioning, resilience, and composure. In his most recent fight against AJ, he was in control for pretty much the entire bout, but got clipped with a heavy right hand. He remained calm and perfectly timed Joshua with a right bang on the button. It appears to me the 27-year-old may be reaching his peak, and at a moment that's not ideal for Usyk because of Father Time. One of the brilliant aspects of Usyk's style is the amount of pressure that he exerts on his opponent without even throwing punches. He does that through his feints, footwork, lead hand. It's a highly active style that drains the opponent's gas tank, but also requires a good deal of energy. We haven't seen a steep physical drop-off for the 38-year-old Usyk, but his athleticism and reflexes may be slipping just a bit. And against a prime, peaking Dubois, that could be the difference. But with age comes experience. And Usyk has a whole lot of experience. The man has a reported amateur record of 335 wins and 15 losses. He won gold medals at the 2011 World Amateur Boxing Championships and the 2012 Olympics. Dubois may be a fighter with momentum, youth, and peaking powers, but Usyk is still the more intelligent, skillful, and experienced boxer with the ring IQ advantage. He'll be better able to make adjustments on the fly. And he's already downloaded a solid amount of data from their first bout. Let's, make our way to a verdict. Upon rewatching Usyk versus Dubois 1, it was pretty clear to me. Oleksandr thoroughly stifled and outboxed Daniel for the vast majority of their fight before Usyk got the stoppage. However, Dubois doesn't need to outbox Usyk for the majority of their fight, he just needs to land his shot. And he nearly did in their first go-around, and he's shown some growth since then. Still, I've been leaning towards Usyk to win via unanimous decision. But every time I think about it, Fly comes to my head. No, not Jeff Goldblum's Fly, not that fly that invaded my video that one time. What the f was that? Is that a fly? Oh my god, I caught it. Can you see that? Can we see the fly that I caught? Right? I got it. Doesn't speak well in my apartment. I'm talking about the name of an episode from season 3 of Breaking Bad. No spoilers here if you haven't watched, but in it, there is a scene where Walter is delivering a monologue about when he should have died.
Are you saying you want to die?
I'm saying I've lived too long. want them to actually miss you. You know? You want their memories of you to be...
And he doesn't finish that sentence. But we can infer that what he's saying is that he wants his family, or just people in general, to remember him fondly and in a positive light, and to not, in some sense, overstay his welcome by allowing an ugly truth to manifest. For Walter White, we're talking about slinging crystal. But for Oleksandr Usyk, I worry that he's going to live too long, so to speak, in the boxing game, as a fighter who has a downfall while no longer in his prime. The man has accomplished everything. He's a highly decorated amateur, an Olympic gold medalist, an undefeated pro. He went undisputed at cruiserweight, then moved up and became undisputed at heavyweight, the first one to do it since Evander Holyfield. The man has nothing left to prove, and yet he has very little left to gain. His perfect moment to die, so to speak, or hang up the gloves, was after beating Tyson Fury in their first fight and becoming undisputed at heavyweight. Okay, so they had a rematch clause, he had to vacate the IBF belt after, but he beat Fury again. After that rematch was also a perfect moment. Tyson Fury was undefeated before facing Usyk. Those two were the universally recognized best heavyweights on the planet. Usyk has already beaten Dubois. What does he stand to gain here? He becomes undisputed again? Okay, sure. But I don't like the risk-reward balance here, and it has me nervous for Oleksandr. I think he'll still be able to take away Dubois' jab and land his own. Dynamite can try to impose his size and strength, and may well have some success. But Usyk has proved he's no pushover on the inside, and is strong enough to tussle with a giant like Tyson Fury. However, Dubois is extremely dangerous in this spot, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he winds up dropping Usyk, perhaps with a legitimate body shot this time. The rabbit will have to dig deep, but I just can't justify picking against him with everything he's already proven, even if I have concerns. Dynamite seems highly motivated and intent on getting revenge for what he feels was a blown call and the robbery of a career-defining victory. I believe Dubois will be more composed than last time and make it across the finish line without being stopped. However, coming up short on points. Ultimately, I'm sticking with my pick. I believe Usyk still has the tools to dismantle Dynamite and win via unanimous decision. But Walter White's words will be echoing through my head as a warning on fight night. And that right there is Harry's hook. Let me know what you think in the comments. Who do you have winning this fight and how?